What is up, my friends? Good afternoon to you all. And the announcement has officially been made. Michael Edwards is back at Liverpool Football Club, and he will be supported by Richard Hughes, who will be joining in the summer. So I think we've a lot to unpack over the next hour or so. Any questions, by all means, my friends, put them into the chat. Thank you for joining us, and happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, isn't it? Happy Tuesday to you all. How are we doing? Loads of news to get through, and of course today, like many other days, we've been brought to you with thanks to our friends at SofaScore. Don't forget to download the SofaScore app via either the link in the description pinned to the top of the chat or by the QR code on the screen. Every one of you that download SofaScore helps the channel out financially, but most importantly, helps yourselves out with one of the best, if not the best, sports app in the market, which is absolutely free for you to download. Fastest goal updates in the business, every sport you can think of covered, statistics, fixtures, everything you need from your favourite app. So, we all good? Abbas said, no, you're not happy. I don't know why you wouldn't be happy, mate. Today's a good day. Today's a very good day. And we will go through all the information that you need. We'll give you some quotes from Mr. Michael Edwards. We will give you some information with regards to the Champions League and what that new draw is going to look like next year, the Swiss model, and a few other bits and pieces as always. FSG should buy a good team so we can do what Citigroup do. Oh, did I not tell you what FSG are going to do? I know what they're going to do. They're going to buy Everton so they can use Bramley-Moore Dock for the Liverpool ladies team, and then Everton can ground share with, I don't know, Tranmere or something. I mean, that seems the logical thing to do, right? We want a multi-club model, just buy Everton. You know, they're going cheap, I heard. Can't find owners. 777 partners struggling to be able to get the go-ahead, so we'll just buy them. Liverpool can just buy them and turn Bramley-Moore Dock into the Liverpool ladies team ground. Seems fitting. Yeah, look, we will talk about the ownership model as well. Michael Edwards did say that one of the things that helped bring him back towards FSG and Liverpool was the helping of going out and buying another club or setting up the feeder model, the whatever you want to call it, multi-club model, I think it is these days, and we'll go through that as well over the course of the next hour. Jamaicans in the house. Joe Morrison, how are we, dude? Welcome in, my friend. Right, so what I'm going to start off by doing is giving you some oversight from Michael Edwards and what this role of football CEO is going to entail, and let's hear from the man himself. So I'm going to read you through a quote from Michael Edwards speaking about his return to Liverpool, his return to the FSG fold, and of course his aims and what is on his inbox or in his in tray as he joins. So he said, with Liverpool, I will oversee the required reinforcement of football operations with a number of essential leadership positions needing urgent attention. I know from personal experience what a wonderful job Mike Gordon has done with the day-to-day oversight on behalf of his fellow owners. Going forward, I'm looking forward to working with FSG's Board of Managers. Also, in assuming this role, I fully understand, and this is an important part, I fully understand that it comes with great expectations, and I therefore intend to identify, hire and subsequently empower leaders who meet and embody the club's value and ambitions. Having served the club previously, I need no reminder of how much emotional investment is made by the supporters in the city itself as well as across the UK and the world. I'm looking forward to getting started. So there you go, Michael Edwards ready to get stuck in. Hey Craig, I'm not an FSG fan, but they usually get these decisions right, and they did again. Much more confident about the coming years with Edwards back, said Boxed Will. Thank you, Will. I would put myself in a similar category to yourself, Will. Wouldn't be their biggest fan by any stretch, but like you, I always believed that they get these appointments right. There are certain things FSG do unquestionably do well, and appointments and getting the right people in the roles, I've got to say, over the years, I have to give them the credit on that one. And I did even say last week, I expect them to get the right people in. I did have belief in them in that, Will. So much like you, mate, yes, fair play to them. They did get the right people in. We'll talk about Edwards a little bit, or not Edwards, Hughes a little bit, and what exactly he's going to do, who he is, what his background is, and we'll look into that in a moment. Just to confirm, Richard Hughes will not be joining Liverpool Football Club until this summer. So right now, it's Michael Edwards. He's going to start putting the structure in place. Richard Hughes will join in the summer. Got SofaScore. Thanks, Craig, said Red or Greenfall. Thank you. Appreciate that. And honestly, let me know some feedback. I'm sure you'll absolutely love the app. It is a fantastic one. It won me around. I used to be a user of an inferior app, shall we say, until I had to go at SofaScore, look through it and thought, well, I've been wasting my time not using SofaScore. Hey Craig, how are you? I'm good, thank you, Abbas. Busy, tired, but good. So disappointed with the officials this season. I just hope they don't cost us the title. I always say, my friend, Mr. Canavan, that we will win the title despite the referees, or in spite of the referees. But look, it isn't just us. Like, obviously we have some big calls this year that we feel have gone against us, but I think you can speak to any football fan across the Premier League and they'll all have multiple reasons why they're displeased with the officiating this season and probably beyond this season. Santel said, I think Liverpool have the best remaining schedule to secure the Premier League trophy. Yeah, having looked through the games that we have left, City have left and Arsenal have left, I agree. I do think ours is the more forgiving, is probably the best phrase. Because you don't want to say easiest, because that feels unfair on other Premier League clubs. But I do think of the three sets of fixtures, if I had to handpick one, I'd take Liverpool's. We've played City home and away, Arsenal home and away, some difficult games done and dusted. United away, we still have to play, fair enough. That could be a tricky enough fixture. Villa away, second last game. Spurs at Anfield, I fancy us to win. So, yeah, barring maybe a red card or something in a game, I'm pretty confident right now. So what role is he getting? He is going to be the CEO of football, mate. He's going to oversee all football operations at Liverpool. But let's speak about Richard Hughes for a minute, folks, if I may. So the Echo have done a pretty good piece with a couple of questions that are pretty pertinent. One of them, who is Richard Hughes? Because that's what a lot of people are going to be asking. Richard Hughes grew up in Milan. Played briefly for Atalanta between 92 and 93. He then spent 5 years at Arsenal's academy before joining Bournemouth at the age of 19. He made over 170 appearances for Bournemouth and represented Scotland at international level. The former midfielder eventually hung up his boots in 2014 following spells at Portsmouth and Grimsby Town. He went on to join Bournemouth's technical team when Eddie Howe was their manager. There's a piece that's entitled Transfer Dealings at Bournemouth. Hughes has helped transform Bournemouth since his arrival. He brought in Tyrone Mings, Callum Wilson and Nathan Ake before moving them on for a tidy profit. He was instrumental in hiring Adone Iriola as Gary O'Neill's successor, as well as bringing in players like Dominic Solanke, Lloyd Kelly, Alex Scott. He also helped get the loan move for Nat Phillips, as well as giving preference between the transfer dealings of the club. Sorry, I was distracting myself for a second. It's also been claimed that Hughes is known to be a friend and close associate of Liverpool's former sporting director Michael Edwards, and his recruitment philosophy. This is interesting because this gives us an insight into him and his dealings. Speaking about the role previously, he said, the thing about recruitment, you're dealing with humans and human performance, so all you can do is to be as knowledgeable as possible, have as much information as possible, and hope that you make more good decisions than bad. Here, character and attitude is such an important aspect of the players. That means finding information about a player beyond what you can see in the 90 minutes is more important. It's not a science, because in very few cases you can answer exactly what a player is going to be like under a manager at a club at any given time, as well as all the circumstances that affect the happiness, mood and performances of a player. They're all things that are, to an extent, are not in your control, but you have to have as much information as possible when you make that signing, and hopefully, as we've gone on and got more experience in this side of things, we're able to do a better job than when we started. Fairly straightforward stuff. So, just to confirm again, Michael Edwards confirmed today, released a statement, CEO of Football Operations. That is what has been put out by FSG, and we welcome him back. So, some of Michael Edwards' famous successes. He convinced Liverpool of Andy Robertson's potential when he was at Hull to become one of the best left-backs in the world before we paid that £8.5 million. He inserted a clause into the Coutinho deal to Barca that would mean Barca had to pay a £100 million premium on any player from Liverpool they wanted to sign over the next 2 years. Worried about Real Madrid coming for Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah and Bobby Firmino, he tied all three down to new contracts without release clauses, and he refused to budge when Emre Can asked for a release clause in his contract renewal with Liverpool. These are all things listed under Michael Edwards' positive achievements. Loving your show, Craig. Much love, Pang. Thank you. Appreciate you, mate. Wouldn't be here without all of you guys and your amazing support. So honestly, thank you, as I always say. The channel is what the channel is because of you guys. Right, so we do have the officials in as well, by the way. Officials have just been made for the announcement for the Manchester United game against Liverpool this weekend in the FA Cup. So referee, John Brooks. Assistant referees, Lee Betts and Timothy Wood. Fourth official, Anthony Taylor. VAR, Tim Robinson. Support VAR, Chris Kavanagh. And assistant VAR, Edward Smart. That's not too bad, actually. Happy enough with that. So again, to confirm, referee, John Brooks. And VAR official Tim Robinson. They're the ones we really need to be concerned about. So, not too bad an appointment, in all honesty. Could have been worse. Yeah, could have been worse. I mean, John Brooks we have form with. I'm not going to bring that up again. But, yeah. Oh, it could have been worse. What's the name of the other club? We haven't bought it yet, so there is no name of the other club. Liverpool want to start a multi-club model, and Michael Edwards will oversee finding and purchasing that other club. Didn't he also add a clause to the Coutinho deal saying Barca couldn't buy another Liverpool player? Well, no, I just read out that clause. The clause was that if Barca came back to sign another Liverpool player for the next 2 years, they had to pay a £100 million premium on top of the valuation Liverpool had on the player. So as an example, if they wanted to buy somebody for $50 million, they'd have to pay $150 million in those 2 years. Basically just to put them off coming back near any of our players for those 2 years. It's mad how it takes 3 or 4 people to watch a video wrongly. I know. It's mad, Kyle. You're right. In Atwell's case, I just still don't understand what he was looking at for that incident. But anyway, we move on. The preview will be coming up today, by the way. I sent Connor my team, so I'm going to record the preview. That'll be coming out about 6:30. So this was an interesting one to sit down to do. It was a difficult one because you're trying to think of players that you don't want near the pitch. You know, you want them rested up for Sunday. So yeah, difficult team selection for the preview, but that of course will be out later on. Right, League Cup should be made for the Championship and lower leagues to play it that way. Premier League clubs got ain't got to worry about it. I don't know. There is a conversation, of course, to remove one of the domestic cups, but there's no there seems no appetite to remove it at this moment in time anyway, so it is what it is. Mark has sent me through a few injury updates as well. So, injury updates. Gravenberch back after the international break at the latest. Curtis Jones will be involved against Brighton after the international break. So, Curtis Jones will be probably the first getting back after the international break. Trent, again, he's expected to be back for Brighton as well. Alisson could be back early April. That's the latest. And Jota, similar timeline to Alisson. So, there we go, and that's coming in from David Lynch. And thank you, Mark, for forwarding that on to me as well. So there we go. Some updates. Gravenberch, international break at the latest. Jones and Trent, the Brighton game is what we're aiming for. And Alisson and Jota, similar timelines, sometime in around early April. Paul said, do you think we'll get a new deal? Mo will get a new deal. Thank you for your membership for 6 months, Paul. Do I think Mo will get a new deal? No, I don't. Again, not saying he doesn't deserve a new deal, not saying I wouldn't give him a new deal, but I'm saying no, I don't think Mo gets a new deal. I think Mo gets sold in the summer, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about that. But I do get the feeling with Edwards coming back in, it's more likely that Mohamed Salah goes. Stefan, yes, actually, I do have some notes on Stefan by Cecic. 1 second. I did actually get some notes on Stefan today, so bear with me. Just reading through here. Bear with me. lots and lots of notes here to go through today. Not that one, not that one, not that one. So he is training, but he's not training fully yet. He was on the pitch today doing some work, but he isn't fully ready to go yet. That was the latest I'd seen. Sorry, I'm flying through my notes here trying to grab the info. Yeah, so he was on the pitch today with Canade doing some running and stuff, but he isn't at full training yet. So he's on the way, is all I can say, Paul, really. When do you expect a PGMOL apology? I don't think one's going to be forthcoming, mate, because I don't want today to be a day where we talk about the PGMOL and rant again. I got all that out of my system over the weekend. Today is the day we look forward. We look at what does this mean for Liverpool Football Club, and what does it mean with regard to Liverpool's flirting with Xabi Alonso. I think that's the kindest way I can put this. So for me, I would take this appointment as good news, very good news. The fact Richard Hughes is coming in, the structure's been put in place, which will mean, of course, Liverpool will now be more attractive to any potential managers because they're going to know who they're working with. Would have been very difficult for Liverpool to go out there, try and convince Alonso or Ruben Amorim or whoever else is on their list if they didn't have a structure in place at the club, if we didn't know who was going to be taking care of the transfer business, the day-to-day running of football things. Now we know. Michael Edwards will oversee it. Richard Hughes will be the sporting director. And I would dare to say, and I don't know this for a fact, so it is just an opinion, I would say Xabi Alonso is almost certain to become the next Liverpool manager. That's my own personal feeling on it. It'd be interesting to see FSG getting another club, but my only concern would be replicating what City do with basically funneling money project to project. I haven't got a clue about the funneling of money part. I would imagine the idea, and again, I'm just kind of taking a shot in the dark here. My thought process here will be most likely one of two things will happen. We buy a club in South America, so, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, where we can keep an eye on promising talents, attract them to that club and develop them there. Or you buy a club somewhere like Portugal or one of the European cities where work permits for players coming from South America are a lot easier to obtain. Then we buy promising talent from South America, bring them to Europe, get them a bit of experience at a club playing in the European League before seeing if they make the grade and then moving them on to Liverpool. That would be my guess at what we're going to see happen here. And then I will see that probably replicated in emerging football markets. So Africa perhaps, Middle East perhaps, America perhaps. These are the ideas behind multi-club models. Do you think VVD will get a new contract under Edwards and Hughes? Yes. I think so. Because if he wasn't the club captain, I don't know. Because of the whole way Michael Edwards looks at players over the age of 30. I would say because of the position he plays in, yes. Centre-backs can play to 35, 36, kind of like keepers. And VVD, whilst he has pace, he doesn't necessarily rely on that pace. He's more a reader of the game. So, yeah, I can see him getting a new deal. Will it be straightforward or not? Don't know. Because with these things, you always have to account for the expectations of people involved. The one I'm concerned about the most is absolutely Mohamed Salah. That's the one that would worry me. Mohamed Salah, Verge, and then Trent, I think, will be the easiest one for the club to get done. But again, this is what Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes have been brought in for, so we expect that... I'd say Michael Edwards will start taking care of those contract negotiations because we can't wait for the summer for Richard Hughes. That feels like it's leaving it a little bit too late. Craig, given Van Dijk a new deal is a no-brainer. With Mo, I'm not so sure. Trent will sign the new one 100%. So, Pranav, it isn't going to be just like Verge is playing well, give him a new deal. With Edwards, he's going to look into the underlying numbers. He's going to look into the data. He's going to look into distances covered. Every metric you can think of to see if VVD's performances that we see with the eye look to be really good, to make sure that they match up. And I'm sure if the numbers show the right areas are still okay, then I'm sure he will offer him a new deal. But it is important that I remind you all that one of the reasons that he was brought back in, Edwards, is because FSG admire the way he can remove emotion from decisions and let the numbers, and of course some of the other factors like The eye test will come into it, but ultimately he makes the difficult decisions and removes emotion from them. And that's one of the things. I have to say, I like that about him as well. I think when you're running a business like football, it can be very easy to become emotionally attached or invested in a player. But if we have situations like, for instance, I'm going to give you an example. Looking back now, I think we can all probably agree that giving Jordan Henderson a new deal when Jurgen Klopp fought for the new deal for him didn't work out too well. Michael Edwards, I'd be almost certain, would have been against the idea of giving Jordan Henderson a new deal. And it didn't work out too well from the point of view of we ended up selling him. So he didn't stay around, didn't fulfill that contract, and his performances have gone rapidly downhill. So, as I've said before, the old phrase of it's better to sell a player a year too early than a year too late definitely comes into play here. Morning, Craig, said Napu. Or Napupu, sorry. Or Napupu. Yeah, there you go. What do you think the timetable for a new manager announcement will be whenever Leverkusen's season starts coming to an end? Genuinely. A couple of things have to happen. Obviously, Leverkusen have to get the Bundesliga over the line. On top of that, are they still in the Europa League? Are we coming up against them? The club will be very respectful to Leverkusen and their time frame. So I don't expect much news on the managerial front in the next month or two, in all honesty. Like, maybe we hear something, but I doubt it. I think the way it is that Liverpool have always tried to play this respectfully, register the interest with the agent then informs Leverkusen, and Liverpool wait till they're given permission to make their case to Alonso. And that would be reciprocated by Alonso as well. He wants to continue focusing on his job to make sure that he delivers what he can this season for Leverkusen, and that's understandable. It is actually possible to buy one of the big clubs in Argentina, Brazil, like Boca, River Plate, Palmeiras, or do they have a rule against that? No, they've been bought. So Red Bull have a club over there called Red Bull Bragantino. I think Liverpool at one point looked at buying one of the Brazilian clubs, if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember which one it was off the top of my head. But no, they are... I'm not sure of the Argentinian clubs, by the way. You mentioned Boca, River Plate there. I'm not sure about their rules of ownership. But the Brazilian side of it, yes, absolutely. There have been some purchases of Brazilian clubs in recent years. Has Florian tweeted anything today? Plettenberg? I don't know. I don't really care what he tweets anymore, mate. It's all just noise. I've said this all along. My respect for Sky across the board, has gone downhill massively. I've respect for Kaveh Solokol, hugely. Respect for Darmay Sheth. Respect for Melissa Reddy. But the pundits on Sky, nah. And Plettenberg and Sky Germany, absolute chancer, in my opinion. Right, so Melissa Reddy, she said, Michael Edwards confirmed as FSG's CEO of football, will succeed Mike Gordon as the decision maker on all football matters. Remit includes helping to identify and subsequently manage a second club to attract global talent. Will resign from Ludonautics on June 1st. So there we go. Important here, he's not just coming in to Liverpool, he's coming in as FSG's CEO of football, looking after all of FSG's footballing operations, which, as Melissa Reddy correctly said there, will include purchasing a second club. Michael Edwards, speaking about it, said, one of the biggest factors in my decision is the commitment to acquire and oversee an additional club. So as you can see, that is clearly something that has attracted him to the role here. Fabrizio Romano has tweeted to say Richard Hughes was already an agreement in place to join Liverpool and it'll happen at the end of the season. After an excellent job at Bournemouth with CEO Neil Blake, he's going to leave at the end of the campaign to sign for Liverpool. He's part of Michael Edwards' plan. Again, I'm just looking through all the notes on Edwards here just to make sure I haven't missed anything really obvious for you guys. Little bit on Manchester United, by the way, just while we're talking about football and financing and stuff. Mark Ogden of ESPN, and I believe covering the Manchester beat as well, said, Man United net debt of £773 million is a ridiculous figure. Also shows where the 1.2 billion, where the 1.2 billion Ineos money went and where it didn't. And the club are investigating public funding for a new stadium, I've got to say, I have a lot of time for Mark Ogden. I think he's a great journalist. Very much enjoy watching him in the evenings on Sky, sometimes on there. Miguel Delaney, another one. And it is incredible to think that Manchester United, valued at what they are, as big as they are, still have a debt of $750 million, even after that 1.2 billion investment into the club by Jim Ratcliffe. So, I don't know, did that money go straight into the Glazers' back pockets? Certainly seems like it. Doesn't look like it's paid down too much of that debt. Would you rather have Leverkusen lost the Europa League game when came back from 2-0 down? I don't really have a preference for Leverkusen in the Europa League because we're winning it. So when they get knocked out of it is irrelevant. If we beat them in the final, if we beat them in the semi-final, if we beat them in the quarter-final, we'll see on Friday. Maybe we get them in the draw on Friday because that's when the draw is taking place for the next round. Fair play, Craig. You called it with Hughes. Thank you, Jamie. Look, I made a promise to myself at the start of this campaign that I'm not going to go down the ITK route anymore because it leads to too much division. Because not everything will always be right because football moves fast. So what I've decided is I'm just going to tell you my opinion on things. Even if it is opinion that's based off information that we've gained behind the scenes, I'm going to stick to the words opinion. And yes, I had a very strong opinion on the Richard Hughes appointment because I had pretty strong information on it. But ultimately, all that matters is that the job is his and that Michael Edwards is coming back in. And I'm very happy about those appointments. Benjamin Alford, thank you, mate, for your incredibly generous super chat. 35 New Zealand dollars, mate. Thank you so much. That really is incredible, mate. A few weeks ago, I said Edwards' deal was most likely to happen. I'm now a little bit sceptical on his role. Hope it's not just acquisitions. Gordon's step back is a loss in business. It's easy to look past all the finer details. So, what I would say is, a lot of the existing structure was in place because it worked with Jurgen Klopp, and Jurgen Klopp had good relationships, personal and working, with the people involved. Now with Michael Edwards coming back in, he's kind of taken up some of that mantle. And yes, he isn't just going to be at Liverpool Football Club. He's going to oversee everything football related to FSG's business. Some of that will, of course, include helping bring in a new manager, helping buy another club. But ultimately, think of it this way. Liverpool are going to be at the top of FSG's football operations, whatever else the future holds. And Edwards will be across that. And that makes me feel confident. Because I don't have to rely on John W. Henry or Tom Werner or anybody else. We've got the guy who understands the club, understands what's needed, understands how to get success. I think it's as best a situation as we could hope for. Like anything, sorry, I was distracted by a comment. Like anything, it's not a guarantee. Nothing in life is, but it's as good at mitigating risk as I can think of. Anfield Agenda in Boston at the House of Blues, really? Well, you see, I can look past the pettiness of the Blues to think it's owned by Dan Aykroyd, and it's a pretty cool venue, and it's right across from Fenway, and it's most importantly very close to the apartment I'm staying in over there. So yes, and to make it even worse for you, dude, it's the Citizens House of Blues. Genuinely, Citizens are the sponsors, so it's Citizens House of Blues. But if it makes you feel any better, we're in the Foundation Room, which is the smaller room. So maybe you can just call it the Foundation Room. Maybe that makes it less bluesy for you. Part of me hopes Arsenal go through just to give them more games. Look, you should want Arsenal to go through. Absolutely, because you want England getting that spot. So we should want English clubs doing well in Europe. Other than City, of course, because let's be honest, none of us give a damn about them. But I certainly want Arsenal to go through tonight for various reasons. For the extra games, like you've mentioned. For the place, for the coefficient score for England and the English League or the Premier League. So yeah. What score do you think of Liverpool players against United in the FA Cup? I don't know yet, Jamie, because I haven't really sat down and thought about the team selection. But I'm going to make a bit of a statement. I think it's going to be a fairly easy game. United are crap. They are. Like, you're going to say, Craig, yes, they drew with us at Anfield. Fair enough. And they could have won that game. But that was us appalling. Like, terrible. Right now, with the announcement from Klopp, with the lads having the bit between their teeth, with the City game having been done and dusted, And I think we're going to go to Old Trafford with a lot of the first team lads having been rested. Because they won't have had a midweek game. You know, they're playing on Thursday, but we don't have to put out many of the first team for that. So I think we're going to go into the game against United the weekend in pretty healthy shape, and I think we're going to beat them fairly straightforward. Couple of goals minimum. TOTT2KZ1, how are you, my friend? Thank you for your super chat. Said, I think this multi-club system is the way forward, as more and more clubs have started to do this. Though I wonder if FSG would want to make an MLS club. No idea on the MLS thing. My gut feeling, and I've no info on this, is we'll probably see, as I said at the start of the stream, South American or, that part of the world as a potential club, or somewhere in Europe where we can bring in players from South America and get them a work permit a little bit easier. That would be my guess at it. But I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. I'm sure the ball will be rolling on this. If you lot play you did like you did on Sunday, you'll beat us by a minimum of 4, said Shane. I don't mean to be disrespectful to United in this sense, Shane, but we are just ahead at this moment in where we are in our football development. And I think if both teams played to the best of their ability, it should be straightforward for us. But it's easy me saying that, isn't it? We got to go to Old Trafford and get a result. And what also is on my mind, mate, is these international breaks are awfully long if you don't get a good result going into them. There's nothing worse than losing a game and then having 2 weeks of no club football where you're just stewing on that result and it just festers away at you. So, yeah, it is important that we get the right result. What's this? Croke Park to potentially be used as a mega fan zone for the Europa League final. Croke Park to Lansdowne, if you're getting there from the fan zone. I mean, if you've got coaches and all, fair enough, but I suppose you could go through the Port Tunnel. No, you couldn't. That's for the airport side. Over the toll bridge down to the Aviva. I mean, yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, it's not the worst idea. Croke Park to the Aviva as a fan zone. Yeah, might work. Craig, could you tell me, did Edwards fall out with Klopp? I could remember something around this time. Honestly, Benjamin, I don't know the answer to that question. There's a lot of theories that they fell out or butted heads over stuff, but I don't know factually what happened. I don't. So I guess it's not right of me to add to any conjecture. If I was making an educated guess, same as you, I would feel like maybe there was some disagreements, but that's normal. Everyone's not always going to view things in the same way. As we mentioned, Klopp was certainly one for looking towards James Milner, Henderson, and contracts for those players who were maybe past their prime statistically, but Klopp felt they did a lot to add to the group. Maybe Edwards felt differently. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out in the future someday. Craig, do you agree that 2 centre-backs are a priority in the summer? It's a priority, yes. Centre-backs, full-back, and probably a forward. I don't know about 2. I'm just thinking about this. Depends what happens with Sepp van den Berg. Also depends on the system we play. If, for instance, we were to play with 3 centre-backs, then definitely need at least 2. David Lynch says they did fall out. Well, David Lynch would absolutely know more about this than me. So, if David Lynch says they fell out, then, I'll try to find that piece and see what information I can gather for it. But I'm being honest and saying I don't personally know what happened between the two of them, so I don't want to add to the whispers. I want to try and be as factual as I can. There was a disagreement, but that is normal. It was a disagreement, and how the disagreement was handled. Well, look, Jamrock, I mean, if there was a disagreement, there was a disagreement. As you said, it is normal. It's about finding ways and compromises around these things at times, Like, for instance, have I always agreed with Connor and Ben on directions of the channel or ideas? No. But we'll usually just sit down and try and figure out what we're trying to aim for and is this the best way around it? And try and figure out a compromise. So yeah, I'm sure it's normal working relationship stuff. We did touch on this a moment ago, but Mark's just sent me some updates to confirm again that Ibrahim Konate was back doing some running today on his way back to fitness. This agreement was handled in a way where one individual went over the other person's head, and that person with the authority over the person's head, and one person felt undermined. Again, I'm sure that happens quite a bit, mate, but I think we're going to see a slightly different take on transfers now with Edwards in, and contract renewals. I think it will... that's why I said when Edwards came back in, my initial feeling was we'll see Mo Salah gone in the summer. I think he will feel it's time to cash in. I think Edwards' plan is that Trent signs a new contract with a huge wage increase, give VVD 2-3 years, and sell Salah in the summer. Makes sense. Also, new contracts for Kwanzaa. That's going to be coming soon enough. I'm sure Conor Bradley will want to know what the long-term future looks like with regards to... I know he signed a new deal recently, if my memory's right, but he'll want to make sure that he's got first-team aspirations moving forward. Yeah, look, the club's in a healthy position, especially with regards to talent coming through. Judging by the way Edwards operates, I can see him selling Trent too. I can't see him selling Trent. Because sometimes you look at it in one of two ways. So with Salah, you look at it from the, is he past his peak? Is it time to cash in? With Trent, if ever we did sell him, and I don't think we will, it would have to be from the point of view of we need funds to reinvest back into the squad. Serious funds. And I don't think we have that need. I don't think you need to look to get 70, 80, 100 million for Trent to reinvest it back into the squad. No, I don't. So I would disagree. I think the plan will be to keep Trent at the club. Because I think it's important that we have that Scouse heartbeat. He's part of the leadership group. He's the club's vice captain. I don't see Trent going anywhere, to be honest. With Edwards' data-driven approach, I see Amorim more and more likely. What do you think? I think Amorim is the best of the rest, is the only way I can say it. Everybody understands that Alonso's the right choice. Edwards will know that. And sometimes there is more than just the data. Like, Alonso knows the club, has been at the club, has a relationship with the fan base, and is one of the best up-and-coming young managers in world football. So I think he's top of everyone's choice. And Amorim will be the second. I've no doubt about that in my own mind, that Ruben Amorim is probably somebody who Michael Edwards really does appreciate. But I still can't see anybody looking past Alonso. And I think Alonso will be the next manager. What's your thoughts on the future of Tsimikas? Do you think maybe somebody we should move on? Yes, I do. I said this all season. And it's not because I don't think Costas is a decent footballer. I just don't think he's going to be the long-term solution at left back. You know, let's say Andy Robertson hung up his boots tomorrow. Do I think Costas can come in and do as good a job in that role? No, I don't. He can do a job. He isn't a terrible footballer. He's a good player. But I don't think he's good enough. You know, at Liverpool, I want us to have one of the best fullbacks in world football. And I don't put Costas in that bracket. I put him as a very able deputy. But I've not seen enough to make me think he can make that leap into being the number one. So with that in mind, yes, I would sell him. Will Edwards have impact on transfers and scouting new players, or will Hughes be in charge? Well, the scouting is done by Dave Fallows and Barry Hunter. They're the head of recruitment and our chief scout. Edwards will oversee all of it, but Richard Hughes will probably be most important when it comes to transfers. And, you know, and working hand in hand with the scouting team. Edwards will be more bigger picture stuff. Is Alonso the right choice? Yes. Given the money FSG may look to spend being minimal, we'll need faster wing backs for sure and a creative 10. Okay, I don't see what the problem is. Well, he'll have the money to do it. Like, it's not like he's working with a massive budget at Leverkusen. So yeah, he'll be fine. And he is the one. I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to any journalist speaking about the Liverpool manager's job and you'll get the same feeling. It's, yes, he is the one. He is the guy. For many factors, some of them, like I've said before, just the gravitas of being the manager of Liverpool Football Club. It isn't the same as going in and being a Chelsea manager. It isn't the same as going in and being a Wolves manager or an Everton manager. It's Liverpool Football Club. You've got to have more than just managerial ability. I know that sounds nuts, but I'm right. You do. And the connection with the city is really important for the Liverpool manager. Jurgen got it, didn't he? He just got it. Rafa Benitez got it. Obviously, more than got it. So I think Xabi Alonso has that. And especially when you're looking at a time where Jurgen Klopp, such a big figure, is leaving, you want somebody with the same fondness, affection, understanding of the fans, because it might be a rocky adjustment period and you need that bit of grace, perhaps, as in a window for an adjustment. And if it's a manager like Amorim, as an example, who's a very good coach but doesn't have a bit of leeway with the fans straight away. Did Edwards sort out Coutinho? The sale of him, 100% yes. And he put a clause into the agreement that Barcelona would have to pay a £100 million premium if they came back for any Liverpool player over the next 2 years. So let's say they wanted to buy somebody for 50 million, well then they had to pay 150 million. So basically it was a 2-year promise that Barca won't come back near the club. My only concern is that Klopp isn't easy to follow, but Tuchel is. Of course he's not easy to follow. My God, I'm not for 1 second trying to say Klopp's easy to follow. I'm just trying to say all that you can do when you're preparing to succeed Jurgen Klopp or to bring in a successor is to mitigate as many risks as you can and then hope everything else works out. So you obviously want to make sure as many of these little details are boxed off as possible. There's always going to be somewhat of a risk factor in any new manager. If it is Alonso, the fans have to stick with him through good and bad results. Yeah, that's all hippie crap, Robbie. Let's be honest. I've got to say, this is one aspect that pisses me off about fandom. This idea that we have to just be happy all the time and we have to just accept. We don't. It's just hippie, happy, clappy, this means more bullshit. Look, you're allowed to be unhappy at a manager if he makes wrong decisions. But you don't carry that forward and hold it against them. That's the important part here. Like, do I agree with every decision Jurgen Klopp makes? Absolutely not. Do I sit here shouting at the TV when he doesn't make the right subs that I think I'd like to see? Yes. Do I love him? Absolutely. I would walk over burning coals for the man. I idolise him. But this whole, we all have to be happy all the time, yay, kumbaya nonsense, it's just that. It's just bullshit. It's not real. And I feel like if I've learned anything from the last few weeks, I need to start speaking up a bit more for common sense and against some of these unrealistic, I don't want to use the word woke because I don't like that phrase, but some of this unrealistic modern expectation is just nonsense. So, in one phrase, you want Anfield to become a bear pit. You want people to be singing. You want atmosphere. You want intimidation. You want emotion. Well, that has to have another side to it as well. You have to have an unhappy part to your emotive side. So yeah, this whole, let's all hold hands and sway side to side singing "We Are the World," it's not real. And I don't understand it. I don't understand this whole, if you can't support us when we're losing, don't support us when we're winning shit as well. I think it's all just nonsense. Like, yes, you'll support. Of course you will. You'll be in the stadium, you'll be behind the teams, but you're also entitled to be upset if things have been done wrong or the players haven't performed to the levels we know they're capable of. That's human nature. But if you go online and become toxic with it, yes, that I understand completely. But for instance, do you remember Klopp turned around when I think Elliott or somebody overplayed a pass into the right channel and it went behind for a goal kick and there was a sort of groan from the main stand and Klopp turned around and started giving out to them? I found that very annoying because you can't tell the fans that you want atmosphere, you want Anfield to be Anfield, not understand that part of that emotion is frustration or being upset. They're humans with real emotion. You have to express what you're really feeling. So I found that a little bit annoying. You'll never find another Klopp. Alonso's not a million miles behind him. Give him time and I think he'll work. Look, I think Alonso is the best appointment. If you said to me, Craig, go out there and have any manager in the world now, I'm not joking, I'd take him. After him, full disclosure, if I could have any manager in the world, I'd probably take Ancelotti. But look, I think it'd be an amazing decision if we can get him over the line, if we can bring in Xabi Alonso. Agree, mate, we put money into the club at the end of the day. We're not robots, Jack. That's my point here, is like, if we had expectations of the players, let's say, that they had to be 100% every game and have to be put in their best performance every single week after week after week, that would be somewhat unrealistic, right? So, I'm on working. Right. If we had those expectations, it would be unrealistic, right? So it's the same for fans. Klopp has to realise that they're human as well. Not Pep, no. I've no respect left for Pep. None, zero. Once he dug his heels in with that Manchester City role and still sitting there and denying what we all know is true, nah, I've no respect for him anymore. I don't give a damn about Pep Guardiola. Sooner the better we've gone out of the Premier League, in my opinion. His self-righteous face annoys me. And quite frankly, and I idolise them, love them, but he's got no soul as far as I'm concerned, no morals, and he can fuck off with the rest of the City lot. That's genuinely how I feel about him. Never tried to deny he's a great manager, but do I want the manager of Liverpool Football Club being somebody who has dug their heels in support of Manchester City and denied any wrongdoing? Do I want that character at Liverpool Football Club leading what we believe a club that tries to do things differently in the right way? No, not a chance. And I didn't try to deny he was a great manager. See, this is what pisses me off with some of the comments. Did I say Guardiola wasn't a good manager? If you can't have a go at me for my opinion. You might disagree with it. Fair enough. But ultimately, that's what this is all about. You ask a question, I give you an opinion, we discuss it. And Guardiola, as far as I'm concerned, is another mercenary. I've no respect for him. Zero. Did you touch on Rafa being sacked by Betis? Well, he's not Betis manager. He's Celta Vigo manager. And I didn't know he was sacked, in all honesty, mate. Genuinely didn't know. You just found out this second as you told me. Well, they are, I don't know. They're in a difficult spot at the... last time I checked, they were just above the relegation zone. But, yeah, I mean, if he was sacked, unfortunate. Bake said I missed the super chat. Just haven't got to them yet, mate. Bayern's arguably more challenging. Alonso has to have a solid Champions League run. I feel FSG will give him time to build this Liverpool team. I agree 100%, mate. I think the Liverpool job is a more attractive job. It's probably a more stable position. And yeah, the expectation with Liverpool be, if you win the league, brilliant, we'll love you. But as long as we're competitive in the league, we'll understand. With Bayern, I think, as you've said, those expectations are a bit different. And also, with Liverpool, you will get more time. I think that's fair. You know, I still can't understand how Nagelsmann got sacked, only losing 3 games across all competitions in the season. That doesn't scream stability. And I'm sure Alonso will look at past managers before him at Bayern, who I'm sure were the ones that Bayern wanted and were told all the right things, but ultimately as it played out over time, they didn't get that. Sarri gone from Lazio as well. Wow, interesting. It is. I find the Italian leagues very weird. There just seems to be a handful of managers that just keep doing the rounds from club to club to club to club to club. It is a weird industry, football management, isn't it? It's like one of the only industries in the world where you can continue to fail and be employed. It's a strange experience, right? How many managers did we see back in the day? The Alan Kirbishleys of this world, the Sam Allardyces, the Neil Warnocks, just constantly on the gravy train, over and over and over again. It's mad. I can't think of another industry other than sport, where failure gets rewarded with multi-million-pound contracts. It just seems mad. Pep's time at Barca is under scrutiny of accusations of cheating, and now he has accusations of cheating at City. Where there's smoke, said Jack. Look, I don't really profess to know all the ins and outs, but I've seen enough of the whole Manchester City stuff to know that phrase, where there's smoke there's fire, is probably true in that case. So, this just coming in from Paul Joyce, literally just coming out this moment, said, Bayer Leverkusen's Xabi Alonso and Sporting Lisbon's Ruben Amorim have featured prominently in Liverpool's background checks. Hughes knows Ibanez, the agent of Alonso. He also represents the Bournemouth head coach, Andoni Iraola. See? The dots being joined here? So, we've got the agent of the man that was brought into Bournemouth by Richard Hughes, sharing an agent with Xabi Alonso. Come on now. Come on. Surely you can see the picture starting to be formed. But it does look like it's a two-horse race. It does. It seriously looks like it's Alonso or Amorim, which I'm very happy about, I have to say, because I agree. You know, I very quickly went cold on the idea of De Zerbi. Just doesn't feel like a Liverpool manager to me, and some questionable results as of late with Brighton as well. Like to go and get whooped over in Rome by Roma, that's not a good look, and I just don't feel he's the right fit for us. Right, quick thing though, left corner of the screen, as you can see, we are, what are we now, 1,357 subscribers away from hitting 250,000. If you have not subscribed, my friends, please do take a second and hit that subscribe button. It really does mean the world to us as we try to get there before we go to Boston. And the Boston show is coming up in 10 days? 9 days? 10 days? 10 days? 9 days? What day are we taking to the stage in Boston? We go on the 22nd, yeah. So Friday, a week on Friday. And if you want to come and see us, you can find the tickets on Ticketmaster. Don't forget to search there or the link in the description. But most importantly, if I could ask you again, if you want yourselves to have access to the greatest sports app out there, the fastest goal alerts, the most in-depth statistical analysis of football, download the SofaScore app via the link pinned to the top of the chat or the QR code on the screen. Edwards' appointment is well timed by FSG. They've acted quickly, which I applaud. Yeah, and efficiently. Yeah, there's a phrase I love in life, and it's ruthless efficiency. I love anybody that does that. It just ignores the noise and all the crap that's going on around them and the newspapers and all, and just gets to the point and just gets it done. So they've done it with Edwards, they've done it with Hughes, and I fully expect them to do it with Alonso. And that's what I've been saying all along. Let Florian Plettenberg jump up and down. Let the German media make it out like Bayern Munich are the ones who Alonso's preference is. But don't underestimate the power of being respectful, especially at top level business. Don't underestimate allowing Alonso to get on with his job, but letting him know, we're here. When you're ready to talk, we're ready. And I've no doubt when they sit down, whenever that time is, that they get the opportunity to make their pitch to Alonso, that by the time that's over, Alonso will be the Liverpool manager. I've no doubt about that, because for all the things I distrust FSG on, like giving the manager money to go and buy enough players, this isn't one of them. Recruitment has always been something I think that they've dealt with really, really well. Do you feel Alonso will need a higher budget than Klopp? Depends, because he has to come in and assess the team himself. So we look at the squad now based in the eyes of Jurgen Klopp and the way he likes to play. But the academy is going to be a really important part to play in this, because look at the emergence of the players now. The Clarks, the McConnells, obviously you've got Tyler Morton, there's Musialowski, Cade Gordon, Jarell Kwanzaa come through, Conor Bradley come through, Luke Chambers. the list grows on and on and on. So first will be what's coming through. Do we think X, Y, or Z can come in and take a place in the first team? And then, of course, you'll supplement that with some talent from other leagues that he knows about. Maybe it's a Florian Wirtz, don't know. But again, these will all be things that whoever the new manager is will get those assurances on before they take the role. It's exciting times, though. If I can get anything across to you today, let it be that. It's exciting times ahead. Sorry, just still going through my notes here. Nobody knows how long is being decided with Edwards. Media started to report a few days later it was announced. Exactly. And also, what I found very coincidental, because I don't know it to be related, is that Richard Hughes told Bournemouth in November that he was leaving. Now, considering FSG were only told about Klopp in November, I don't know. Was there a link? We may never know. But it's a funny old coincidence, though. Chelsea offered Michael Edwards the chance to be football chief executive, and Manchester United offered them a chance to run the football side of the club. I know, and he turned them down, and he's back at Liverpool, which is great to see. So we will touch on the Champions League draw before we finish up today, folks. We will be back at 8:30 as well, but before we finish up today, just a bit of a heads up about the new Champions League draw. So it'll be conducted by a computer next season, because if it was conducted by people pulling balls, they'd need 900 balls. So clubs will be manually drawn initially, then a computer will take over and select 8 opponents for the 36-team league. And that comes from Cave Solikol on Sky. Cave has also been speaking, and again cannot say on record enough my respect for Cave Solikol. This handling of Liverpool fans and their treatment in Paris is something I will always hold him in high esteem for. He said, new expanded Champions League format from next season means computers are going to be used to make the draw. UEFA draw simulations have shown that a manual draw for the new format would take between 3 and 4 hours and require 900 balls. Instead, a new hybrid method will be used. Clubs will be drawn manually, then the computer will take over and select their 8 opponents. The new hybrid draw is expected to take around 35 minutes, the same duration as the current draw for the existing format. An English IT company is coming up with the software which will carry out the digital part of the draw. There will also be 2 backup software systems, and the draw will still be audited. So there we go. Thoughts on Ian Wright calling out the City charges. So, on that, I watched the clip from Ian Wright, and he brought up the charges, but I don't really want to say he called them out. I have a different take on it. What I remember Ian Wright saying was something along the lines of, we can't ignore those 115 charges, and then something about, we want those charges to go away so we can give Manchester City the credit. That's what I remember hearing. Now look, Wrighty brought it up, and I very much have a lot of time for Ian Wright. I think Ian Wright is an all-around good fella, and always seems to speak rather fondly of Liverpool and has a soft spot for us. So I've no issues with Ian Wright whatsoever. But when I heard last night about the calling out the whole 115, I was expecting to be a little bit stronger than when I seen it. I mean, he said it's an elephant in the room, but it's the following it up of, we want those charges to be dismissed so we can give them the credit kind of vibe, which didn't sit well with me. I didn't sit well. That's probably not fair on Ian Wright. It wasn't what I expected when I was told he called out the 115 charges. So what I expected was something like, we can't talk about Manchester City without the possibility of them being found guilty of these 115 charges. If those charges are proven, then Manchester City's credentials and everything they've won will severely be undermined. If they're disproven, then of course we give Manchester City the credit that they deserve. Something along those lines I thought would have been a bit more suitable, but at least he brought it up. He didn't say dismissed, he said he wanted them resolved. Yes, and then finished by saying, so we can give them the credit. Correct or not correct, Lauren? So, again, I'm just trying to be as balanced as I can, and he did. Look, he addressed it. There is that, you know, and absolutely it's good to see it addressed. Because Lord knows it's not addressed very often on there on Sky. So yes. Right, my friends, I am going to go record the preview. It will be out at about 6:30. And I will see you hopefully at 8:30, where we'll have more information around the Edwards appointment, more stuff on Richard Hughes, and of course, more stuff as we look ahead to the last week before the international break. We've got Sparta Prague visiting Anfield on Thursday. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff for that. We'll be live from 7. And then, of course, we've got Manchester United in the FA Cup at the weekend. So I will catch up with you at 8:30. Again, thank you for coming in, those who were in early today. Don't forget to download the SofaScore app with a link in the description and pinned to the top of the chat, or you can just scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you for all of your time, information, help, and of course, your interactions today. It really does help and means a lot to me, and thank you so much. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so, and don't forget, 8:30. I look forward to catching up with you then. Bye-bye.